Hello, I'm Thomas Haire, Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the latest episode of Take 20, created by the PDMI's Brand Response Council. These 20-ish minute live conversations featuring leaders in performance marketing, speaking about the hottest topics in the industry, are scheduled twice a month, and sometimes, like this month, 3 times a month. Before we get to today's conversation, a housekeeping note. We'll be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of the session. We don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them, and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the episode. Today's episode is a preview of PDMI West, the association's event next Monday through Wednesday at Hard Rock Hotel San Diego. We're just 5 days away. What can attendees expect from this much anticipated event with 9 educational sessions and an unprecedented series of 6 networking events over 3 days? PDMI West will again feature the kind of education and networking that members and past attendees have grown to love. What will be the standout moments of the PDMI's latest show? Well, our Take 20 host and chair of the PDMI's Brand Response Council and a moderator of one of those 9 sessions, Modern Postcard's Chris Foster, is here to serve as your surrogate by asking me questions about what the PDMI team has planned. So Chris, let's get into it.
Fantastic. Now I get to ask you questions. I think this is wonderful. So firstly, welcome everybody to San Diego, my hometown. Very excited to see everyone at PDMI West. And I think, Tom, that now that we're kind of out of the pandemic years and really into the flow of multiple conferences, I'm curious as to, the number of repeat people that you think are coming between the March or the April conference in Miami to the San Diego, and how many folks you think are going to be brand new?
Yeah, I think, it's interesting with Miami and San Diego. Miami, of course, in the spring. For those who don't know, PDMI East is coming in 2025, April, in Miami. We do have a little bit of a distinct split between those two. I'd say there's about a 65 to 70% overlap between the two shows. But there is a good chunk of people that go to Miami, and there's a good chunk of people that come to San Diego. Obviously, Southern California base represents very, very strongly in San Diego. We've been working hard to drive more brands, more ad tech, more of that performance marketing and media universe to join us with the idea of the San Diego event kind of working under the theme of what's next. Looking ahead to 2025, and the Miami theme will be what's now as we get into the new year. But yeah, it's a good group of people, diverse, but we are really focused in on performance marketing, performance media, D2C media, and the brands that are being served by it, and that's who's going to be on hand. Another good crowd. We're tracking right in line, slightly ahead with last year's San Diego event. Our San Diego event is slightly bigger than our Miami event, so it's a good number. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, it was packed last year. So if I'm a brand new person to PDMI West, I've never been before, and I've maybe not even been to PDMI East. It starts on Monday. What should I expect as a new attendee coming in on Monday?
Yeah, so Monday's kind of a move-in day. I mean, we try to say that this is a 2.5-day show. Realistically, we open reg mid-morning, 10 a.m. You can come get your badge. Or if you don't have a badge yet, come pay for your badge and get your badge then. With the meeting hall open from noon to 5, just half the day. Meeting kind of like starts vibing there. We'll have food and drink available, candy corner, cocktails, coffee, tea, sponsored tables will start operating at noon, from noon to 5, and then open meeting space as well for all of our attendees. And so it's kind of like a flow-in day. Get your legs under you, shake some hands, and really what that all tees up is our new attendee mixer starting at 5 p.m., which will be on the 4th floor of the Hard Rock this year. Woodstock, which is their kind of outdoor event space, should be really a nice night. Looking like the weather's going to be amazing while we're there. Low 80s, low to mid 80s, so it should be a great time to get outside and connect. That new attendee mixer is really focused on welcoming our first timers. To your point, Chris, if you're a first timer, you are invited to come to the new attendee mixer. You're going to meet our PDMI council members. You're going to meet the faculty of our new PDMI University initiative. You're going to meet members of some sponsoring companies. You're going to meet like our most powerful, most committed attendees. if you're a new attendee. So it's a great place for you to start, make some new friends, get your feet under you and get yourself set to really dive into the next 2 big full days.
That's fantastic. Can you talk a little bit more about that meeting hall? You said that sponsors are setting up their tables. What is that like, and what does that do for people to meet some of these different businesses?
Yeah, so about half the meeting hall is we have about 15 sponsored tables. So those are companies that work in the business. They buy they support the show by buying their own meeting space at those tables. They set their meetings there, bring folks into the meeting hall, and set their time and space to connect there. It's a great thing for companies that are really looking to have their own location to meet. And to instead of kind of getting flown all over the hotel and doing meetings, you're in that meeting hall and able to do that. Now the other half of the meeting hall is open table space for folks who are connecting and attendees who want to connect and spend that time in that meeting hall. And it gives them a home base to do that as well. It's on the 2nd floor of the hotel. It's right across from registration, very central. So it's a great spot for everyone to connect.
I like that. I like that, calling it a home base. Now, you just mentioned that the new attendee mixer, that there are going to be folks from PDMI University. It looks like on Tuesday morning, you'd say coffee and donuts with PDMIU. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So let me say quickly, thank you to Verdi Payments for sponsoring the new attendee mixer. The coffee and donuts and coffee with PDMIU on Tuesday morning at 8:30 in the meeting hall. We're crack open the meeting hall a half hour early there for this event. PDMI University is going to launch in early 2025 with 10 online courses for folks working in performance marketing, various topics, and it's going to be, from folks who are just getting started in the space. If you run an agency and you have your newest folks coming in, and you want them to get the download on what is happening in performance marketing, what terms mean, what different facets of the business are doing, PDMI University is going to be a great place for you to get your employees involved, all the way up to the top level folks who want to refresh on things that are new. There's always changes. There's things growing and changing at all times. So PDMI is going to launch online courses, 10 of them in January, and we are introducing folks to our more than 20 faculty members, all of them experts in the industry, all of them members of the PDMI on that morning, including you, of course, Chris. And it's really going to be a very kind of a laid back thing. You're gonna have some donuts out, gonna have some coffee out, shake some hands, meet the faculty. A great way to kind of kick off the day with a kind of a leisurely but fun networking opportunity.
I love it too. And for folks who to understand a little bit more about PDMIU, it's a one of a kind educational program. There's nothing like it that exists in the world of marketing today, whether it's AMA or ADA or some other marketing organization. Nothing is focused on performance marketing except for PDMIU. So very excited to meet people who are interested in that, for their company, for themselves, and for their growth, and how it rolls out in the new year. And then right after those coffee and donuts, we have our first session.
Education gets underway. Yes, we have 5 sessions on Tuesday and 4 sessions on Wednesday. A little teaser, we may be adding a 5th session on Wednesday at the end of the day, thanks to our sponsors at Blue Water, our educational sponsor Blue Water. But we do kick off 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday with one of our most anticipated sessions of every show, our media outlet roundtable. Incredible group this time, spanning the full reach of performance media, video, from streaming to linear to CTV. We've got Roku on hand, we got Disney, we got Dish, we got NBCU. It's going to be a great conversation, led by Carrie Chase as moderator. Carrie from Modus Direct is a member of our Brand Response Council, and she'll do a great job kind of working this group through what's happening right now on the sell side of this space, what people can expect over the next 6 to 12 months. And we used to talk about 3 to 5 years, Chris, on these types of things. Now we have to talk about 6 to 12 months, because
that was so 3 to 5 years ago, Tom.
So it's gonna get us off to a great start. Some big names, big companies, getting us off to a great start there on Tuesday.
Fantastic. And then it rolls right in. I love this next educational session about content is queen. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so Women's Leadership Council, tremendous group, our biggest council, over 70 members, led by Fern Lee of Thor Associates. And the Leadership Council always comes up with an interesting idea. This one, Content is Queen, was kind of started growing around the time of the NCAA basketball tournaments last spring, and watching the women's tournament outpace the men's tournament in the ratings. Then watching women's soccer grow on television, watching the Olympics and women's sports grow there, the viewership of it. So we're really talking about how content for women, whether it's in the sports world, whether it's in podcasts, obviously Wondery's involved in this session, is becoming a massive draw for audiences, which means it's also a massive draw for performance brands. So we have a great group. We're really looking at this from across the board. Scott Berger from Scripps. Scripps owns Ion, and Ion's got a huge deal with the WNBA, doing broadcasts all season long, and other women's sports as well. From the media side, Stacey Duran from Media Design Group and Juice Media. Carrie Grange from Growth Energy Marketing, who's been around this business for some time in performance brands, particularly on the beauty side, has a lot of great experience here and should be really, really thoughtful. And then of course, Allison Sprague, who's the head of measurement for Wondery. So she's got her finger on the pulse of what's working on the podcast side. So it should be a really, really interesting conversation.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that last guest on the Wondery, speaking of podcasts, the next session is actually about podcasts.
It is. It's a nice lead in. And I have to say that we just added Allison to this session. We unfortunately lost the speaker last week, but when we lost the speaker, we checked in to see if Allison would be willing to do double duty, and it looks like she's going to. So Wondery will be joining Warner Brothers Discovery, iHeartMedia, and Fox on stage with Lacey Perkins of Casual Precision in the moderator chair. Podcast is just a massive outlet. I think we're seeing $2 billion in ad spend this year in the United States, doubling perhaps in the next 2 to 3 years. So it's a massively growing space. And as I've said, and I think we might have even put in a descriptor, all you have to do is listen to your favorite podcasts to understand what kinds of brands are advertising. And there are brands, they're performance brands, right?
That's right.
So this is really going to dive into these outlets and what they're seeing, what they're offering, what's working, what's not for advertisers, what the draw is for listeners. I just got a note saw a note this week come across the wire about podcast listeners having a much higher interest in listening to advertisers than even radio listeners. So should be. I mean, it's timely. And it's something that we're going to be following actually from here, I think, going forward.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it would probably be we had a Take 20 session on audio marketing, and I think we'll have another one probably devoted to podcasts in the new year. So that's very exciting. The education keeps rolling because you've got 2 more sessions to close out on Tuesday. Yeah.
So let me jump in. E-commerce Council, and it's funny to see them working on volatility as a new normal, but Gregory Silvano, the moderator, the chair of the E-commerce Council, we've been talking about this for years since the start of COVID, really. And the Take 20 series is a series of webinars that is a product of that volatility, right? The entire reason you and I are sitting here for the 99th time talking about this type of stuff is because we had nowhere to reach each other other than here. So volatility is the new normal. I mean, since COVID, we've had inflation, we've had supply chain issues, we've had political stuff, we've had any number of constant changes going on. So is this kind of volatility just the way we live now? Have we learned anything? Are we prepared for whatever's next? Or are we flying by the seat of our pants? I think we've got regulations, another issue here of all these things. So we've got a great panel of experts from PR to the regulatory side to Peter Russo from Insurance Marketing Solutions, a brand in the insurance space, to talk about this topic and really get into how e-commerce brands, performance brands can really look and try to be ready for what we have called, Chris, the unknown unknowns, right? and try
That's
to
right.
find a way forward in this time where it seems like nothing stays normal for longer than a few months.
Yeah, and I love that idea of volatility is the new normal because, the other argument is there is no new normal, right?
Hmm.
That doesn't
Right.
exist anymore. And then you got a final session at 4 o'clock to round out the
Yeah.
education.
So last one is the U.S. Hispanic Council. The U.S. Hispanic Council looked at a session that was done in Miami on the kind of the general performance brand side, where we had a brand roundtable talking about what's working in performance media, and that was a great session in Miami with 4 great brands. And the Hispanic Council said, why can't we do this with brands who are doing Hispanic? And pulled together a great group of brands. Meaningful Beauty, longtime stalwart performance D2C brand in the beauty space. Los Defensores, which is a legal like a kind of a tort and whatnot law firm that is a massive television advertiser, and Southern New Hampshire University, which has done outreach over the recent years to the Hispanic market for their educational offerings. So should be a really interesting look at how these brands are attacking the Hispanic space, which obviously the growth there continues to be massive. I mean, we're looking at adding another 7 million folks into this marketplace over the next 5 years, according to some statistics I saw recently. So, if you're not involved in Hispanic marketplace with your brand or with your clients, you're definitely missing out, and you're going to hear why in this session.
That's fantastic. And, after all that education, some people attend some people attend all, the kind of mix and match, and they're having meetings. But finally, at the end, what I love most about the PDMI is the connection that happens when everybody gets together after a full day of education. So tell us about these 2 mixers happening on Tuesday night.
We've jumped into late night parties. This is but before we get to that, we'll talk about the Sundown Shindig, which is hosted by XR Extreme Reach and presented by XR Extreme Reach. That's going to be at Float, which is the poolside lounge on the rooftop of the Hard Rock 4th floor. Gorgeous space. If you've ever been there, I mean, we were there 2 years ago for a party. Great place for a party. Lush. We're gonna have incredible food, incredible drinks, top shelf, everything for everyone. It's going to be the peak party probably of the event. That Tuesday night event is usually the peak party for the event, and you're going to see a lot of faces there that are going to be friendly. And then some of those faces are going to cut out of there with the opportunity to head up to Music Box San Diego, a classic music destination in San Diego up in Little Italy. GRSM LLP, law firm in the industry, is our sponsor of Rock the Box. They're sponsoring a VIP area inside Music Box for a big concert that's happening that night, rock show that's happening that night. We won't be there exclusively, but we'll have our own exclusive space with food and drink during the show. There's an RSVP form online. If you need it, reach out to me and I can get you the link. We're close to closing RSVPs at this point. We're close to our capacity. We will run a wait list if we go over, but it's really our first foray into a big evening event that's directly attached to the show. It says 8 to 11 on our schedule. On a lot of our marketing, it says 8 to question mark because you can be there as long as you want.
It's probably going to go a little bit longer. If there's anything about this PDMI crowd, it's a fun crowd.
Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. So, for us, it's an exciting thing to have the opportunity to do this, and thanks to GRSM for their support and making this happen.
Absolutely. I love that addition. I think that's great. And thank you for that support too. And then, a Wednesday morning, everyone's got to maybe not stay up too late because one of the anchor tenant events now of PDMI is happening on Wednesday morning with the Women's Leadership Breakfast.
Yeah, Women's Leadership Breakfast is much like I talked about our Women's Leadership Council, just being amazing. And the Women's Leadership Breakfast, which Yang Guru has sponsored since it started a few years ago, has been just a tremendous event for us. And the crossover on attendance right now for the Rock the Box and the Women's Leadership Breakfast is there. So ladies, you're gonna have to get yourselves motivated in the morning, but it's gonna be a great event. Last time in Miami, they did a speed dating thing that went extremely well. Not sure exactly what they've got planned this time, but it's always a great event, a great opportunity for women in this industry to share, to get feedback, to connect with other leading executive women in the space, and really understand where that group of leaders is coming from and where they're going. So should be another tremendous event.
That's fantastic. And then we roll right in right afterwards to a series of educational. The first two actually kind of touch on CTV.
Yes. Yeah. So first one is a kind of a CTV outlet and ad tech partner combo. Sean Caleb from Havas Edge is going to be our moderator, and we're bringing together Netflix, a first-time speaker at the show, which is a tremendous get for us, Roku as well, and then from the ad tech side, Magnite and Blockboard will be in there. And I know Sean had a great conversation with his crew yesterday. I got great feedback on it. Looking forward to that event. It's really the first time we've had the CTV outlets on stage talking with those ad tech partners and really getting into the mix there. So it should be great. Then we roll directly from there into the workshop council session, which is more about campaign execution. But as CTV has become such a big thing and the rest of streaming has become such a big thing, fast channels, everything else, it's become harder and harder to figure out how you execute a campaign, creative, media buying, et cetera, across linear streaming, CTV. And that's what this session is aiming to teach you about. So we have
that's great.
So we have from the creative side, we have Patrick Raymond from Blue Water, who's a leading creative expert. We did lose a speaker off of this one, but the good news is we have Jean Rose McElroy, J.R. McElroy from Audience Express, who is going to be able to walk us through the media buy and sell side of this process once you're into it. And then we have Joseph Gray from DR Metrics and iSpot, who is going to talk about the measurement and attribution aspects of all of this. So really, I think this is one of the biggest questions. And when I talk to all of our speakers, and I talk to the panel that I'm hosting that afternoon, the biggest question is, how do I execute this across these different outlets? And more importantly, how the heck do I measure this across these different outlets? And that's what this group, led by Mike Batista, who's the chair of our workshop council, is going to get into.
That's fantastic. I love it. So when we rolled into the next one where you're actually moderating.
I am. I tried to keep myself out of a moderator chair this time, but I ended up getting into one.
Can't get out of the chair. Got to go back to the chair.
Got to sit with the group. And I've got a great pair of agency and platform experts, and Vicky Chang from Atari, and Alicia Romatier from GainShare. If you look at the calendar, we've heard from ad tech, we've heard from outlets, we've heard from brands, we've had a couple agencies sprinkled in maybe as moderators, but we haven't heard what the agencies really think about all this too. And that's the idea here, is let's get the agencies up there. The set of questions that I've worked on with them over the last week or two really touches on, I would say, the entire lead up of sessions to this session. We're touching on something that's probably going to be discussed in almost every session leading up to this, and get the agency perspective on where this market is, what's next for it, where we're going. One of the funny things is, like, I had a question that said 12 to 8, where are we in 12 to 18 months? And that's why I said 6 to 12 to you, because both of them were like, no, we got to cut this to 6 to 12, because 18 months is an eternity. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. Those two women are powerful, thoughtful experts, and they are going to give you guys a lot of great information, as long as I don't screw it up.
Which you never do. So I think it's going to be a winning session. And then I get to follow in those very large footsteps. Actually, I'll be moderating the next panel, which is about FAST, the streaming's latest growth channel. So the FAST channels have been rising exponentially, and the number of FAST channels have been increasing dramatically. And we have an absolute powerhouse panel. We've got Jason Mezek from Paramount. We've got Chris Pizzuro from Leap Media Group and RVTV, a very own fast channel about RVs. We've got Caitlin Stebbins from Samsung Ads. It's going to be an amazing group. They've got all the knowledge of the entire ecosystem of fast channels, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how we got to where we are, how that ties into the unique aspects of consumer behavior and consumer patterns that have changed over the last 3 to 5 years, and why fast is just perfect. and capitalized on those behaviors to demonstrate that incredible growth. And we're going to be talking about what's next. So kind of where we are, what happened to get here, where we are now, and then what's happening next. Very excited to have this group. So if you are interested in FAST, which you should be, because it is growing and it has been an incredible channel for performance marketers, this is going to be a great session for you to learn all about FAST.
Yes, absolutely. It is going to be tremendous. I'm looking forward to that one quite a bit, Chris. And
are we talking about our bonus
well, let's just
session?
say that. Let me say two more things before we go to Rockstar Reception. One, there is a high likelihood of a session being added at 4 o'clock on Thursday. That is currently being worked on by our education sponsor, Blue Water. Some great speaker names and companies being bandied about. We'll have more information on that hopefully in the next day or two. Keep an eye on our website, keep an eye on our social media, keep an eye out for new signage when you get to San Diego, alerting you to this session. But yeah, it looks like it's going to happen from 4 to 5 that day. Let me also say that if you notice in the schedule, if you look at our schedule at glance online, there's a break between noon and 1. Most sessions have a half-hour break. There's a break though between noon and 1, and that's because we have lunch for you on the floor in the meeting hall. So if you are looking for a place to eat and you want to stay on site, if you're looking for a place to go to lunch with your noon meeting, come in the meeting hall. We got lunch both days, Tuesday and Wednesday, provided by PDMIU. And yeah, we'd love to see you there. So that said, we'll close it out with the last party, right, Chris? Our last of 6 parties. We've never done more than 4 parties, so you're going to be a little bit partied out by the end of this. Our Rockstar Reception is at 207. It's the first floor lounge, lobby level lounge at the Hard Rock. Very cool place. We're urging you to, if you got a concert T-shirt, drag it out of the drawer, throw it in your suitcase when you travel, and put it on for this. It's gonna be casual. It's gonna be fun. There's gonna be music, more top shelf drinks, more high-end food. I think someone said yesterday that we should call this party sushi rolls and tenderloins or something like that, because
right.
we got good stuff coming. Or no, poke bowls and tenderloins. That's what it was. So we got good quality food for you. Great way to close it out. We got to thank Lockard and Wexler Direct for their support of that party. We got to thank all of our sponsors. We've got over 40 sponsoring companies this year for PDMI West, which is tremendous. We thank all of you. We thank everyone who's bought a badge, to be here and take part. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait to get to it. Can't wait to get through it. Can't wait to celebrate it with you.
Yes, so excited. And thanks, Tom, for taking us on that guided tour of what we should expect. Personally, I can't wait. It's nice that it's in my own backyard, but I fly across the country to Miami to go to Ease, so it's totally worth it to see the folks there and to get the education and to meet the people and to stay connected to this fantastic network. And for the 99th time, thank you so much for having me on this Take 20.
Yes, thank you, Chris. We appreciate it. Your hosting duties are stellar as always, and we look forward to celebrating with you in 2 weeks. Our next Take 20 episode is set for Wednesday, October 16th, the 100th episode of Take 20. As I noted earlier, launched in the heart of the pandemic, summer 2020, we're reaching this milestone by welcoming a group of our Brand Response Council members, group that was responsible for creating this, to talk about what we were all talking about 4 years ago. Continuing to prepare for the unknown unknowns that can shake us up both in our business and personal lives. Right now, we've got 9 members of the Brand Response Council confirmed, so it's going to be a real Brady Bunch screen of takes, probably a take 40 or a take 60 more than a take 20 to celebrate this 100th episode. Should be great, though. Look back, look ahead. So visit thepdmi.com/take-20 to register for the webinar and check out the upcoming schedule. And I want to let you know that online registration for PDMI West next week closes on Friday night at 10 o'clock Eastern time. Through that time, badges are just $3.95 for PDMI members and $5.95 for non-members. So if you heard something today that you think is going to be really interesting, make sure you book your badge by tomorrow night or by Friday night, because you're going to save $100 from on-site registration rates if you do. Visit thepdmi.com/pdmi-west to get your badge now. Thank you again for checking out this episode, as we heard earlier, the great one, number 99 of the PDMI's Take 20. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.